All right, there's Stacy. Let's do that. Mandy, I have no idea if you have anything to say, but I sent you an invite, and I'm just looking for, let me see if there's Midnight. All right, and then I'll get Midnight up here. All right, I just sent you an invite, Kevin. Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, I'm gonna take my glasses off now so I don't have to look anymore. Hi, friend. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. We have a lot of information to go over. Before we jump into that, let's say hi to Mandy and say hi to Stacy. How are you girls doing? You good?
It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
I wore my dog out. I wore my dog out for you.
There you go. There you
And
go.
myself.
Love that. Love that.
Well, and we're also not at Cinco de Mayo eating tacos, so there's that. But
I totally forgot
That is
that
a
it was
bum.
Cinco de Mayo.
I did too until you just said it.
Aaron, my friend Aaron just texted me. He's like, let's go get a margarita and do tacos. And I'm like, man, I totally forgot it was Cinco de Mayo. But that's okay. We got a plan here and we're going to execute. And if I want to go out later, I will. Probably won't. I'm still recovering from last week, to be completely honest with you. So,
Birthday weekend.
yes. So it was like birthday Hanukkah. Like it went on all week long.
You can't hang.
If y'all see Brad jump in here, just let me know. And do y'all have anything that y'all need to address or go over before we go to Kevin, or?
Yes, I would love to if I could. Super quick. In regard to the Amy Alert petition cards, I think I have 2 people who are pending their arrival. So if you have requested them and you haven't heard from me in the past few days, feel free to reach out to me here either on TikTok at Mandy June or Facebook at MJ Hickman, or follow up with Singing Sandy and she will get the information to me that way. That was one of my things. Are we talking about the event right now, or?
I was just talking about it kind of generically while we were waiting for people to join us, but let's hold off on that.
That's
actually.
Cool. That's cool.
And get some other information. Maybe we'll roll that out on Facebook next, and then we can talk about that next week as well for Amy's birthday.
Love it.
So we got a lot going on next week too. That I haven't even talked to y'all about, but I'll get there, I promise. But we have things planned for next Tuesday as well for her birthday. So, all right.
I'm ready to jump into Kevin because let me tell you, I know everybody, like, go ahead and let's say it together.
Yeah,
Royal Caribbean.
Right.
Royal Caribbean. Because we can say it. We can say it.
We can definitely say it.
We can say it, and we should not be shy about saying it.
Absolutely.
Nope. So neither should any of y'all. If you're sharing stuff or want people to know, and you've been following this story for as long as I've been friends with Amy and her family, then you would know that all the times that we did try to do what we could to search, we had to say she disappeared off a ship.
Yeah.
Or a cruise or a boat. Yep. And that's
Midnight,
another reason
I have
why
to tell you, I am
Brad
looking
is very filtered.
I just wanted to tell you, Midnight, I've really enjoyed your series so much. I feel like I look forward to Wednesdays and Fridays, and every podcast you do, it just gets me like it's better than the last. It keeps growing. So,
well, good. I appreciate that, and I've shared it's a lot of work, and it's not a full-time job on top of my regular job, but it's I put in some long hours to do it, and it's nice to hear that people are listening, but also getting value out of it.
Absolutely.
Here was my analogy today. I'm going to take it back to Jesus like I always do. If y'all have ever seen that movie, Passion of the Christ, like that was an excellent movie, right? And it brought you in. It definitely top lines the story of Jesus. But, there's a lot more to the story than just what happens in a 2-hour movie, right?
Sure.
And what happened for, a lot of people was that when the Chosen series came out, because it was taking longer to explain stories, people were really gravitating to it and really getting it because they weren't just getting a top line. And that was intentional. They wanted to take more time with each episode. And so instead of cramming everything about Jesus into 2 hours to do a movie, they are now up to 40 episodes and they're getting ready to do 2 more. So there'll be 16 more episodes. So now people are really getting a deeper dive. And that is what I shared with Kevin today, why I'm so thankful, because he's giving their voices more time. And when you have more time, you get more information. And every single week when Kevin sends this to Brad and we'll look it over and over. And almost every single week, Brad is like, oh my God, now this is my new favorite episode. Like it's continued to build. And how Kevin is working with the family and making sure that their input is not just heard, but received and, put into play. I think that's the biggest thing here is that when this is all said and done, do you think you're just going to do 12, Kevin? What do you think right now?
Oh, I mean, yeah, there will be 12.
There definitely will be 12, but I'm like,
I've already accepted the fact that this will be a story that I will come back to. And that I'll remain engaged with. I mean, I think from a personal standpoint, I've gotten to know everybody so well that it's not like I'm going to finish and just be done.
I was kind of being funny, or at least trying to be. Maybe that failed, but I'm saying I can see you getting to 12 and being like, you know what? I got one more I want to do in me. So that's what I'm like.
Well, so I kind of do have one that I've been thinking about. That would kind of be like, I think like a real good bookend to the series. I haven't figured out how I want to do it yet.
Well, I just want to thank you. And I want to do it on a public forum. I know you get thanks from us behind the scenes, but I just want everybody out there as well to know how much we appreciate what he is doing. It has been a joy to see this and to get we all kind of sit on pins and needles waiting for the next one to come. And, he sent episode 7 today and we were all reading through it. And it's so impactful and it's so meaningful. And you just are really providing what the Bradleys thought that they were going to get with Netflix. They thought they were putting themselves out there and that their story was going to be told without edits, without any type of agenda, without people creating different and false narratives. So the fact that I think my favorite story was Judy Moore, where she was like, well, are you going to edit my interview, Kevin? And he was like, no, that's what I thought the whole point. I want you to be able to speak. I want you to be able to talk. But when you started
she
Kevin,
because she's like, I said so much to the Netflix people and, hardly anything got shown. And she's like, you're not going to do that to me, are you? I said, no. I said, the only thing I'm going to do is remove your ums and your uhs and make you sound smarty. Smarter. Right. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, but when you started this, it was, I'm going to do...
It worked for me.
But when you started this, you said, I'm going to do a 12-part series. And then in the midst of it, now you're like, well, no, wait. I think I should do this whole other series right in the middle of it, too. And you brought out Witness Wednesday. Yeah. And then there's things that come to you and you're like, you know what?
So, because it was funny. I had done a couple of interviews to start and, and I was using some of the sound bites and I had already been thinking about doing basically the whole idea of Witness Wednesday as a companion to the other case I had done prior to this series.
Yeah.
So it was already there. And then I would go back and re-listen to all of the interviews that I had done. And I'm like, this stuff is too good not to let it sit. I guess my hand is being forced. I have to do Witness Wednesdays now.
You're doing a great job. Hello, Brad Bradley.
Killing
Hey
it.
guys, how y'all doing?
Hey, Brad's in the building.
Hello.
Brad.
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm
I was
still
late.
recovering.
Coral and I are watching. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. Friends and Neighbors on Apple.
Nope.
Oh man, good.
Is it good stuff?
Yeah. So that was I was in season finale territory there, so I had to wait.
Okay, no problem.
That's
What's going on, Kevin?
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Looking forward to seeing
Good.
this one.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So what are you guys talking about? I heard the last little blip Kevin was talking about, but what I miss?
Well, we're diving into. I wanted to really talk about these 2 episodes this week because there's a lot of information. He did that little teaser podcast, which I called it the little 5-minute podcast earlier, and I just loved that how he shared, the situation that went on with that lawsuit, and I thought that's what I was saying. Kevin is like, you did the 12. You're like, I'm doing the 12 series, and now I'm going to do Witness Wednesday, and then things come up, and you're like, yeah, that needs its own standalone little podcast. That's not Witness Wednesday. That's not this. Like, I'm doing this one separate because, and then like, man, you really are just doing just an amazing job for the Bradleys. And I just, I can't thank you enough. I mean, and I probably never will. And I know the Bradleys never will, but it's just great what you're doing. And these 2 episodes this week, I'm fired up about them. So let's start with Witness Wednesday. Let's start there.
Yeah. So Witness Wednesday is going to be, I think it's a great conversation. It'll be with Lori, who is one of the girls on the ship who saw Amy and Yellow go up the glass elevator to the Viking Lounge.
Heck yeah, I love that.
And Lori has spoken on some of the shows that the family has done about Amy, but she has never spoken in a long form interview like what we'll release tomorrow. And the thing that I took away from that conversation is just the weight of what she saw that morning.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's had to carry that with her for 28 years.
Right.
She gets very emotional in that interview, and understandably so, because it has to be very difficult for her to think back to that morning and realize, I'm really the last person to see Amy before something bad happened.
Right. But praise God she did.
And that's a horrible thing to have to carry. You can't forget that. You can't just let that go. Right. And, the fact that she was willing to have the conversation and, really just shared so many insights with me, stuff that I had never heard before. I think when you all listen to it, you will know and you will walk away. If you have ever had any doubts of what they saw that morning, you will walk away knowing she saw exactly what she said she saw.
Yep. And going back to that, I don't know how many hours that she was actually interviewed with Netflix. I don't know, but I know it was more than 2 minutes that she actually
it was a few, right? She said she thought it was like 3 hours.
Yeah. And then you look at the total package of what, that series actually relied on her testimony. It's kind of like, wow, like you should have spent more time on that, but that was neither here nor there. So having tomorrow's episode is just Lori, right?
Just Lori. Yep.
Yeah.
Just me and Lori having a conversation.
I know when I talked to her myself, just me and her, we were on the phone for well over an hour and a half. So I know if I was a Netflix series and I was interviewing, I knew it was probably longer than that because that was just me listening. I wasn't interviewing her. I was literally listening. So she's got a lot to say. So you're giving her a way. She's been very hesitant about putting herself back out here after the Netflix show. And I had talked to her about coming on and doing a live, and she was just like so disheartened about how that all went down and what people were saying. So you are giving Amy a voice. You are giving the Bradleys a voice. You're also giving people like Lori, Judy Mora, David Carmichael. You're giving them a voice too, who didn't get to be heard.
So, Lori mentioned to me, that she had left social media, I think she said a year ago or so, and it had just gotten so nasty and so negative that she's like, I don't have a choice. I had to do it. And I don't think it's in the interview. I think that was, we were having that conversation before I hit the record button. But, think about that for a second. All she did was tell them what she saw. That's all she did. And people are attacking her for sharing what she saw. Like, if you want to understand how rotten to the core some of the people are who have this fixation on the story being what it isn't,
Right.
right? That,
Yeah.
she fell, she jumped. All of those people, like, if you need to know how rotten to the core those people are, just consider what they did to this girl who merely just saw what she saw and then told somebody.
Yep. And it
I
doesn't fit
want
their
you guys to
narrative.
think about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit their narrative, so she is an enemy at that point. And they
Right.
sought to, defame her, to call her names, and ran her off social media.
Yeah.
That's
And
the type of people that we're dealing with. And what I find so strange, and I think I've only ever seen that dynamic in the JonBenet Ramsey case, where you get people that are just so adamant and so angry. But mom and dad, they knew what happened, and mom wrote the ransom note. I think those are the only two cases where I've ever seen this happen, is Amy's case and JonBenet Ramsey.
yeah.
And the same is true of those people in that case. They're rotten.
Right. I agree. So, do you want to give us a little? Don't want to ruin the episode, but are y'all going through tomorrow's episode? Are y'all starting from like the plane ride? Like, because that's actually where they met
So
to
there's a
begin
little-
with.
Yep. Yeah. So there's context about, because I think that's really important to Lori's eyewitness sighting, is this is not just somebody who saw somebody who, I think I saw her on the elevator and then I see the picture 2 years later.
No.
They had interacted with Amy and Brad throughout the cruise. Same with Yellow. She had interacted with him throughout the cruise. So there's no confusion about who she saw.
Correct.
She would have known exactly who she saw because she had seen them all throughout the cruise.
Right. And I think those are the things that didn't make this show that makes you think,
Correct.
well, she's just an unreliable eyewitness. No,
There's
a whole
raises
story.
a question. It raises a question when you only see certain bits of the information, rather than the big, broader picture.
Let me ask you this, Kevin, since you are now on that side of it and you are now hearing these stories. Like, so Stacy's always over here, Brad's always here. We know those stories already. And so that's why we're out here all the time, like having these conversations and trying to keep telling the story and explaining these situations. After talking to them, the three, because you talked to Judy Moore and David Carmichael as well. Did you walk away going, man, there was a lot I didn't know? And I know you are definitely helping the Bradley family, but did you go, wow? Or were you like,
No, I think with Lori, I was more, I don't know that I was surprised with anything, to be honest with Lori, because I believed her. I had no reason to doubt what she saw because I knew there had already been interactions between her, Amy, and Yellow, so she would have recognized them.
right.
How
about
Judy? I have always felt that her sighting was very credible, and a lot of people say it's not. And my argument on behalf of Judy has always been, listen, I've seen her recount this story multiple times over 20 years. And the one thing that's really hard to do over a long period of time is to keep a lie going. You're gonna trip up, and her story has stayed the same from day one.
Yeah.
So I've always believed her sighting. The one that I wouldn't say I ever doubted, but I just didn't know enough about was Carmichael's. And after having talked to him, I actually talked to him yesterday. After the conversation I had with him, I mean, it was just like, he clearly saw her on that beach.
Right.
Like, there's just no two ways about it.
Right.
And there's always going to be the people chirping off in the corner saying, oh, he made it up, or, oh, he saw the picture.
Yeah.
But the reality is this: what he saw before knowing anything about the case, then seeing it on America's Most Wanted, calling his buddy who he was diving with and saying, hey, watch this. hey, that's the girl we saw on the beach. The friend says it. I mean, it is unbelievably credible, his
Yeah.
sighting.
Yeah.
They all are. And anybody who argues that they're not, I mean,
They're not being honest.
as I often say, they're very low IQ.
Yeah.
They're low IQ.
They've got, I think with Lori's story for me, we've heard the parts about, yeah, they hung out and then, she sees her on the elevator. So it's kind of like when people have done these interviews and focused on the show, that's what they kind of say is they were here and then they were here. The part that always gets me, and that's why I think I should have probably asked you this way, it was, did she go into great detail explaining to you Thursday when she gets back on that ship and she sees that flyer? That is the part that just blows me away. And I've done my best to put that story out here, but I'm not a Netflix series. Just imagine if that part of the story of them getting back on that boat on Thursday, seeing that flyer, having that conversation then with Crystal's aunt and saying, wait a minute, we saw her. We saw her Tuesday morning and she was here and it was this time. And the aunt is the one that's like, you got to go to security.
You got to go tell
And
somebody.
We've talked and people have heard us say that Crystal's mom has never been questioned by the FBI to confirm that that's what time they came back in the room. But they also have never questioned the aunt to confirm that the girls
Right.
went to her first. That's another person to say, yes, they came to me. They said, this is what we've seen. And I'm the one that told them to go to ship security. And then finding out that that's also the day that the Bradleys have gotten back on the boat earlier. And the FBI got on the boat around noon. And so this is happening in the afternoon when Lori and Crystal are getting back on that boat and they are going to security and they're being interviewed. What did she tell you as far as how long they spoke to them? I think I remember, but I don't want to. Did she tell you? I think it was an hour and a half or so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and listen to the. I don't
Okay.
think she specifically said. No, there was a couple of parts of that where she did tell me. She's like, my memory on some of the details is just not good enough.
Yeah,
And she was very open about that. And I told her, I said, it's been 28 years. Like,
that's right.
you're not going to remember.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm literally looking at you and going, saying, how long was that interview? But this wasn't a 5-minute. I guess the bigger point is that it's not a 5-minute conversation.
No,
They were
it
taken.
was not.
Right. And,
No,
and the Bradleys don't know about it. The Bradleys don't get told about it. The FBI doesn't get told about it. The only reason we know about it is because Brad and I were out walking around the next morning at 3:30 in the morning or whatever time that was, and they happened to run into them. That's the part that blows me away with that story. It's not the part that she saw them.
Okay.
It's the Thursday. It's amazing that she saw Amy and she's a very credible. But once you learn the part of what happened on Thursday, you're like, that's what they keep saying, that the ship was completely trying to cover themselves and not help to find a missing person. That's a perfect example. So that's what kind of blows me is when you're able to get those details and dig deeper in that story.
Well, and I think that's the thing that's going to be, I think people are going to really appreciate over the next 3 weeks because I'll be doing, Lori will be tomorrow, Judy will be next Wednesday, and David will be the following Wednesday is my plan. So you got the next 3 weeks, you're going to hear from each one of the people in, not spliced up a sentence here that they gave Netflix or a sentence they gave, America's Most or whoever, right? This is a full conversation. The detailed experience from beginning to end. And the first time anybody's going to hear it directly from their mouths.
I think your phone is that? Try that. Yeah,
It
your signal was
probably
going
is.
out there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying it'll be the first time that anybody will hear their story from beginning to end direct from their own mouths.
Yeah. On Judy's story, I love the fact that a lot of people don't get, or when they are talking about her, when I see stuff online, they don't get that Judy saw her twice that day. I think it's all just in the bathroom situation there. And they do not process that. Can y'all hear me or am I frozen?
No,
No,
you're
you're good.
good.
Okay, I think Kevin was frozen. Okay. That they don't get
Probably
that
me.
Judy had actually saw Amy in another store before she ends up seeing her later on in the bathroom. And so it's not just this one moment in the bathroom, but a lot of times when they're talking to Judy, that's what they focus on and they leave out all of the rest of the stuff. So I'm excited about her as well.
I didn't know that, Sandy. Like I'm wanting to like drop my mouth. Like
Sandy's giving it all out.
She goes into that. Yeah, she goes into that in quite a bit of detail in our conversation. And I didn't really know that.
I didn't know that either.
It's a lot.
Oh, he's freezing up.
You are freezing. You are freezing up, Kevin. You might want to.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's probably stuff we would have all heard on the interviews that she did had it not ended up on the cutting room floor.
right,
Like
edited the way it
Netflix
was.
definitely we know cut. And I think oh god, I can't remember the name of the show. Most Wanted? But anyways, I do think a lot of stuff ends up on the cutting room floor, and it's all stuff that was said, but we don't get to hear it as the person who's watching the TV. We don't hear it.
And it's not that the parts that they do choose to focus on that they're not important. They are, but a lot of times when you don't have other context to go along with it and to create the whole story, like once you know that Judy encountered Amy multiple times, it's not just the bathroom and what she was seeing and what she was witnessing. That's a whole story. So then that takes on a whole new.
I think a lot of it has to do with too is the interaction mainly occurred in the bathroom, and so people are just hung up on that. And I mean, because as I think about it, I do remember a store, but I thought the bathroom was in the store, and maybe that's where I'm confused, and I think it's two different places.
Yeah.
So that's probably why a lot of people who are like me and my IQ is probably average at best.
We only know what we know, right? And
that's right.
But what Judy encountered when they were shopping. Are you back, Kevin? Is it working? Let's see. I'm going to see if I can get you back up here.
Yeah, I hope
okay.
so.
But when Judy's talking when Judy's talking and referring to how they are talking and what Amy is doing when she's shopping, that gave me chills. And I'm like, and people don't know all of those details.
No,
and so
and you just hush. You just hush.
I'm just saying.
You just hush.
And then with
well, and I think the other thing about Judy that's really important isn't just the fact that she didn't like verbally interact with her, but had seen her. And I think it gives the bathroom encounter a lot more power.
Yes.
And it makes it more powerful because all of the indicators were there of what was happening with Amy in that bathroom scenario when she saw her in the store.
Exactly.
She goes into a lot of detail about what she observed of Amy and the men that were with her.
And then I will just say, I know that's going to be in a couple of weeks, but I could tell by the text that you were sending us that we've talked about this with the David Carmichael, and it's not just him seeing her. That's not it. He then, sent it back to a friend that was diving with him and said, "Hey, do you recognize this girl?" And his first thing out of that guy's mouth was like, "Oh, that's the girl we saw on the beach." So that's two people that immediately say that's the girl on the beach. But I could tell from your text, the watch is that's like that wow moment for most people because people don't focus on that watch. And I'm like, that's why David Carmichael is so credible.
Right.
He talked about the watch when nobody else talked about the watch. So I really hope he went into great detail with you on that and that you'll be able to share that.
Yep, he did. It was pretty awesome.
I think one of the things that people seem to lose sight of is, like I read a story the other day of a woman that was on a plane and the airplane stewardess, whatever, like, this doesn't look right. And they had the police waiting for them when they got off the plane. There are some people who can feel stuff and feel energy, and we can't discount that. David probably looked up and down because he felt something. He saw something in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, stop discounting like, oh, they're making it up, or it's not. I mean, people can see things.
I feel like, not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but there have been a couple of people that have come forward, right, to make a claim. They made that claim and we've not heard or seen from them ever again. David Carmichael has been right here for 28 years. He's never left. He has consistently still, worked his butt off trying to help the Bradleys to find Amy. Like, if somebody was like even a little bit unsure, you lose interest after a while, right? It's 28 years later, and David Carmichael is still on that team leading that charge because he knows exactly who he saw, and so does his friend that was with him. So I think it's important that their stories get told.
To hear him too, I think to hear him too, he contacted the FBI, and pretty much nothing happened.
Right.
So actually, he took it upon himself to reach out to Ivan Ron.
That's right.
And then flew down there to just be like, do I want to get myself involved in this?
Right.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I know.
The FBI ignored him. He had to take the initiative himself. And if you want to talk about the FBI being a complete pile of shit, this case is one of the most perfect and prime examples of that.
Yeah.
Lori shared some stuff off the record, stay off the record.
Yeah.
But
I know what you're talking about, and I'm with you.
one of those agents, I'd have fired his ass if he were my employee.
Absolutely.
And I gave it away.
Yeah.
By what I just said.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very true. But that doesn't make the shows. That doesn't make the TV cut,
Nope.
No.
That's the kind of stuff that we know. We're like, oh my God. Y'all just don't even have a clue. So, Brad, what are your thoughts about this week? And did you get a chance to read through episode 7 yet?
I did.
Okay.
Thought it was very good, as always. Yeah, I'm just sitting here enjoying listening to you guys, getting different perspectives, and it's sorry I haven't been adding much, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. Texting with Lori over the years, and especially over the past few months. I mean, she's basically said to me over and over again, she will go to her grave knowing 1,000% who she saw and when she saw them, and there's no one that can tell her any different. I'd read her long text about that, but it's a little bit personal. But she's, people speculate that they could be wrong by their time. Maybe it was 3:30 and not 5:30, and so Yellow's back in his room at 3:35, and she sees Amy and Yellow going up the elevator to the lounge, not coming from the elevator going down. So, that mixed with Yellow being known to have invited girls up there at 6 a.m. before, that's been documented. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. And I think, what you were saying earlier, Kevin, about, we've been living 28 years only possibly knowing what happened because of her, and she's lived with knowing what she saw and not being able to do anything about it.
Right.
And it's got to be, like you said, one of the hardest things. But
yeah, because one of the things that happens to people who are eyewitnesses to stuff like that, and it's sad, is that they feel like I should have known. Right? They live with that question every single day. Like, I should have just known that something was wrong. And it's easy to think back and think that, but that's the question that goes through her head every single day.
Yeah.
That's really hard
and
to carry with you.
don't get nervous like you think I'm going to say something, because I'm not. I promise I'm not. I've always given her my word on that. But Lori has a story that is personal to her that I'm not going to share on here. And I'm pretty positive she would have never said to you. But there was a reason why she didn't drink that night. And so the fact that she gets blown off as if she was just drunk and doesn't know, no, her and Crystal were taking turns. And someone was always the sober one because of that. So for her to just get disregarded and treated like she was just some drunk when she wasn't even drinking that night, I think is one of the hardest things, because she already has a story that she's carrying and there's a reason why she's not drinking. And then you get disregarded when you're just trying to tell the truth. So I'm glad for her that she's getting to tell her story. Not, she deserves it.
Yeah, she does. And, I think anybody who listens to it will be happy to actually hear her tell it in detail.
Yeah. So let's see. Have there been any questions, ladies and gentlemen, down there in the box that for Kevin or for us that we need to address and go back to?
I've been looking, and she may have stepped out, but I think Baby Doll said that she was asking questions, I believe, and she wasn't getting them answered. But I've tried to reach out to her, tell her to ask it, but I haven't seen anything.
She did. Yeah, I saw you do it. Very good. Yeah.
Was that Baby Girl?
Baby Girl.
Yes, Baby Girl.
Have we seen anything else from Baby Girl?
No, ma'am.
No, we have not.
Because that's because I blocked her a long time ago. So
I was hoping, I didn't know how to signal
yeah, I caught that, and I'm like, I don't
good
care
girl.
about. I don't care about it. People having opinions, but when they're just coming on and being rude and disrespectful for literally no reason, keep scrolling. You don't have to stay in this live.
That's
If
right.
it's not for you, just keep
Keep it
moving.
moving.
I promise
Keep
you
it
there's
moving.
100 other lives happening right now. So I saw it and I was like, I'm not today, Satan. Not today. I gotta keep moving. So
Good.
Oh.
too important. I was like, I'm not dealing with it.
Reckless Boy, it will be uploaded on YouTube later, so you can catch up what you missed since you just joined. But thank you for joining.
Yep. So let's talk about that real quick. So what I like to say is for everyone to go to midnightmysteryarchive.com. I think that's the best place to start because it shows you all of the options
Yes.
as to how you can listen, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, whether it's, whatever. What I will say and what I will ask you is that if you're able, I know not everyone has a Prime membership, so you can't listen to listen through Amazon. I get it. So go listen through YouTube. But what I am saying is that if you do have Prime and you can listen through Amazon Music, please do that. That helps Kevin to offset the production. He's not getting anything from us. He's doing this all on his own dime. So if you can do anything to help him with this and offsetting that production cost, we really appreciate it. But if your only option is to listen to YouTube, I'm sure Kevin still wants you to listen to that.
Just listen to it. That's all I
Just
care
listen
about.
Listen and share.
Oh,
Listen
so
and share.
I do want to address that topic really quick.
Yeah.
The topic of because some of the the usual suspects will say
Usual is
pop
correct.
pop into the DMs and and I had one that said I'm doing this to make money. So I want to clarify something here. Okay, pay $25 a month for my podcasting host. I pay about another $100 a month for different programs to record and edit and splice some of the stuff that some of the content that I create. And I make zero.
Right.
So I don't make any money. All right.
Right.
I do this because I like doing it, number one. But I do it as well because I think it's really important. That's what I do it for.
Well, I
And
know you
who
feel that.
approached who? Who approached who? Who? How did y'all two come about? The Bradleys and you.
I think Kevin did.
I think Brad maybe contacted me on here at one point, and then we started talking, and we had good conversations, and then I think I said to him, I said, well, what would you think if I did a whole series of the podcast? And he's like, Yeah, I think that would be great.
Right.
And so then we all started talking from there, and it kind of developed out of that.
Yeah. So I heard you loud and clear, Kevin, and I know your heart. So I know everything that you're saying to be true, but I'm also saying that your time is valuable. And even if you make what the Bradleys have said, and I agree 100%, and this goes even to Monstrous. Monstrous is the other one that was doing the podcast and it's what I'm like, I said earlier, I'm like, remember earlier I said Passion of the Christ is a good movie and it top lines everything, right? It still serves a purpose. But if you want to dive deeper and you want to go really look at, things, you can go look at the Chosen series and it's 40 episodes. That's what I like about what we're going to have moving forward is that Monstrous has one podcast that top lines, everything. And it's all been with the Bradley's input. So it's got their stamp of approval. But if somebody has more time and really wants to dig in and wants to learn more of the details and listen to Witness Wednesdays and all of that, that's great. But so many times the Bradleys get contacted to tell their story. Well, now they can go, all right, how about y'all go listen to the story? Because we've already done it. It's over here. Go listen to Monstrous. If you only have a few minutes, go listen to Monstrous. If you've got more time, go listen to Midnight Mystery Archive. He's got a lot of episodes in there and digs deeper so that they don't have to keep repeating it over and over. And it also is making the story go bigger because they've had more time to tell that story. But what I'm saying to you, Kevin, is that what the Bradleys have said, and I agree as well, I don't care if you blow up. I don't care if you become the largest podcaster in the world and you make millions of dollars. Great. You deserve it.
Yeah, no, I don't care if that happens either.
I was wondering where that was going.
But I want people to understand. There are people who have. One specific message irked me, and I just want to be transparent about it. Like, this costs me money to do it, but I do it because I think it's important.
Yeah.
Not because I hope I'll make money at it one day.
Right. I think the very first time Brad and I did a live, we didn't know what we were doing. And I
remember that.
I think we made like $67. That was the very first live. It was right after the Netflix show and people went crazy. And we got off and I immediately donated that money to the GoFundMe. When I do this stuff, it's like $1. And it's still on there. I think I looked at the other day and it was like $6 total. I'm like, hey, it's really getting up there. So that's how I give to this family. It's my time. It's my energy. I'm not trying to be a massive live creator over here on TikTok. I do this for an hour every week and then I move on with the rest of my life. And I know that to be true with you. You're doing this out of the kindness of your heart, but we don't care. If you blow up, good for you. There's nobody more deserving.
Yeah, I wouldn't bat an eyelash if it happened.
Yeah.
That isn't why.
Well, with what is happening is that we are going to be able to trickle the actual truth up, because we can now start pushing this out on all of our platforms and saying, no, here's the actual truth. When you had larger platforms that wouldn't even call the Bradleys and have a conversation and just put out all of these false narratives about stuff, what did that do? That didn't actually help the family. So just because you had millions and millions and millions of people watching your show, Dr. Phil, or, whoever, Netflix, it didn't help to help find Amy because you created all these false narratives. And what are the Bradleys doing? They're over there in Chesterfield County on their house looking at each other going, what the hell just happened? What the hell? How do you fight that? So you're giving them a way to counteract. They can now say no to people and say, no, I don't need to do that. I've already done it with someone else. If you want to listen to it, go over there and listen to it. And I love that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. I've had people saying that I'm getting paid for this. I've seen those comments too. So trust me, you're just the newest person that the usual suspects are always out and about. And they love to comment stuff like that. But no, I certainly am not making a dime off of any of this. And
I'll go ahead and say it. I'm not either.
I don't know if anybody is. Mandy up there. Mandy and April, they're literally over there spending their own money. I'm like, y'all got to stop. You got to stop doing that. They're like, no. So people jump in and do stuff all the time out of the kindness of their heart. Those are the people that we want surrounding us. And that's, that's who we plan to stick with. So, yeah. Why is my okay? Anyway, what else? What else we got to talk about tonight?
We will all be rich when Amy's home
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
because having her home is
That's right.
worth more money than
Yeah.
you can imagine.
Well, for people that are watching that, oh, let me go back real quick. I'm so sorry, I got off track. With Midnight Mystery Archive, when you go over there and you listen to his series however you want to, he's got kind of two things going on right now. One was a 12-part series that he initially started with, and he lets that episode come out on Fridays. So if you go there and you don't know what we're talking about and you want to listen to the first 6, well, the first 6 are over there. He's got them numbered, so it's very easy to understand. But episode 7 will come out this coming Friday. And of course, he's got 5 more that are coming after that, and they will always release on Friday. He is also now doing what he's calling Witness Wednesday, and that kind of got added in. So if you look back through, you'll start to see he's done an interview with Chris Fenwick. He has done, I keep forgetting the lawyers in the Miami lawyer.
Michael Winkleman.
That interview was fantastic. And that talked about the legal struggles that the Bradleys were up against in that. So that's a great one. The third one was Tom, Amy's husband.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, Tom. So that gave him an opportunity to be heard as well.
The man who, according to Netflix, does not exist.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Another
Here he is.
mystery in the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved that episode too. I understand what Brad is saying when he's like, man, each week they keep getting better. Cause I'm like, I feel the same way, you know, and I'm like, now I'm fired up about the next 3 Witness Wednesdays. So if you go over there, just make sure there's Witness Wednesday episodes, and there's also the 12-part series that's going on. So make sure you listen to both of them because they're all good. Yeah. Invisaware is also someone that came to Kevin. You want to share that part, Kevin?
Yeah,
No.
so Invisaware, they make like personal safety jewelry, and basically it's GPS jewelry, and you assign your, who your designated emergency contact is, and then if you're ever in trouble, you basically click your bracelet or your necklace. It'll send them an alert that say, hey, Kevin's in trouble, and then it'll provide you a safety net in those circumstances. One of the things that I immediately thought about when I came across it was, my gosh, how different would this story have been if Amy had something like this in 1998?
No doubt.
Remember, she was on a ship, right?
With no cell phone.
And no cell. I mean, it's just crazy. So I thought, well, they're perfect to work with. So if you go to invisaware.com/midnight mystery archive, you can order through that link. You'll get 10% off your order. A small commission comes back to me, but during the series, I've committed I'll donate everything to the GoFundMe.
Thank you.
And I will make this easy for you all. We have his link up on Amy's Linktree. So if you don't know where Amy's Linktree is, you can go over to the website, which is amybradleyismissing.com, and then just look for the Linktree. On there, it has links for everything. It links to our social media pages, Brad's social media pages. The link to the petition for the Amy alert is there. But the link for the Invisaware that Kevin was just telling you about is also there. So you can just go and click the link, and look at what's going on. But what I will say real quick is that it's not just jewelry. And that got me
Right.
excited because it's not just jewelry. It was things that, like a hair tie.
Mhm.
It was a keychain.
Yeah,
it was a lot
they're
more than
expanding
just
their
jewelry.
products.
Yeah, so definitely go over there and check that out.
I think there's like keychains, and then there's some type of athletic band.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I mean,
and
really, really discreet ways to just protect yourself. I've got 2 kids and I got a wife, and, I certainly wouldn't want anything bad to happen to them. And just an added layer of safety like that, if they're out in public or something like that. I mean, it gives me as a husband and a dad peace of mind. But, I would think too, for, anybody else, it would give themselves and their loved ones an added bit of peace of mind.
I agree. I said the same thing as soon as I saw all of it. I'm like, oh my God, my daughter's getting ready to start driving.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, yeah, she's getting all of that. I'm like,
As
gonna
the
have
mother
like,
of a teenage daughter, I feel that. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So they definitely were the perfect partner, and I'm glad they came on. And thank you again, for what you're doing on that. So next Tuesday is in fact will be our next Amy Bradley Forum. So we'll be able to discuss tomorrow's Witness Wednesday, and we'll be able to discuss, episode 7 that's coming out on Friday. But we will be celebrating Amy's birthday, next Tuesday. So we hope that you all will come back and join us for that. I've got some ideas that I'm planning to do. Hopefully they get executed, so we'll see. But we do hope that you come back and join us next Tuesday for that. I said at the beginning, I don't know that everybody was there, but I'm wearing my I Love Iva shirt today. Amy's birthday is May 12th, but in 1974, May 12th actually fell on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So it's not going to fall on it this year, but just a shout out to all the moms on here. And we know and you'll get your due next month, Kevin. But for all the moms on here that, do what you do. We appreciate you and we see you. And, you girls are amazing on the team. Y'all are moms and y'all are just kicking butt and taking names and, helping the Bradleys. So just want to say happy Mother's Day to all of you as well. And I hope you enjoy your Sunday. But we'll come back here next Tuesday, pick up where we left off. We'll have more information also about the May 30th event. It's not April and Mandy. I just want to say that because they are literally amazing. But last week was crazy for me. So they were patient. And so we've jumped on some conference calls. Was that last night? Yes, last night. And we've got some other stuff coming on. So we'll have more information about that May 30th event later this week, probably. So, follow our social medias and we'll tell you all about that too. So, all right. Well, if that's it, friends, I will let y'all
I
go.
think there's
You
a
can enjoy the rest
question
of
coming
your
up from Nana.
Okay.
She's asking if there's any new leads, and I would think that for the best information on that would be through Brad's social. He will always update when he can, what he can through social media, particularly X.
Yeah, I think that's probably the hardest thing. Was it Nana that asked about it? Yep. Because, there's certainly a lot of cases where we know the ending. We know that the person is no longer with us. And then it's more of like you're trying to find clues on who did it and why. And there's like this, but you have a resolution. With this, it's harder to tell you what leads and that type of information because this is an open and active case. We are still looking for Amy. And so we are protective of her. We do not just come on here and say, hey, we got a great lead again today. And this one was blah, blah, blah. That can't do that. There were even things that were said in the Netflix show that the Bradleys were kind of like, oh God, I wish that hadn't been said. And so we get asked about it all the time, like the IP address. That's something that probably should not have made the Netflix show, if we're being completely honest. That's something that I think if they could go back and if they had any ability to take back something, it would have been that. Because we get asked now about that all the time. We really shouldn't have told the public to begin with, but we certainly aren't going to continue to update the public about it. Like that is very private information that is being followed up on. But the answer to your question is we get leads all the time. I see the emails that come in through the website. So there's leads that come in all the time. There are leads that come in that I immediately go, that's not a good lead, so that happens a lot if we're being completely honest. There's others that will stop me in my tracks and I go and call Iva and go look at that email. Go look at that email right now. But I'm not going to come on social media and tell you that. And I just can't. I promise you that the Bradleys would want nothing more than to come on here and tell you everything, but they can't. They have to protect Amy and the integrity of the case and move, we don't try to make announcements about where we're going. People love to come on here or go post on other pages telling people what the Bradleys are doing or what they're not doing. It blows us away. We sit there and we just giggle and laugh and we're like, they literally have no clue what we're doing, but they go out there and they speak like they're an authority on the Bradley schedule and every action that's been taken. And it's like, man, people really are just weird.
Hateful people.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but
Yeah.
it's very weird how they act like they know what's going on, but we don't even tell people. So how they think they know what's going on is beyond me. But at any rate, Nana, that was the long way of saying that when we have something that we can tell, it'll always start with Brad. Brad will tell, and then we'll tell the rest of you on the other. But there's leads that come in every day. We just are not going to discuss them. So,
Sorry, my son just got had to drop off his football bag, so I had to go off camera. Yes, totally.
okay.
Nothing
my battery's
more.
dying on my phone.
Nothing more than to even come on here and say, here she is.
Yeah.
I think her family definitely would love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal. That's the hope. There are things that have happened, recently. Not really because of the Netflix show, if I'm going to be completely honest, but it was people that got entered into their lives and have kind of brought Iva says, a level of peace that she now has. And we don't discuss that. That's not stuff that we're ever going to discuss on here, but it just is what it is. We do the best that we can. We know it keeps people engaged and keeps y'all helping us and spreading the word. But with an open, active case, we have to be very careful what we do share online. So, okay. All right. Well, I've got to go get my daughter from school. So, is there any other questions?
We're going to have a lot more information on the May 30th event next week, celebrating Amy on her birthday. So
Yeah,
more to come
and we
on
might
that.
even roll out some information this week over on on Facebook and all of that.
Oh,
But
jeez.
yeah.
And if no one saw Kendra's Kendra does not make any money off of the change.org either. That nothing goes to her. So if that has kept you from signing the change.org, please sign that petition.
Yeah, she does not make a dime off of that. And we learned after the fact that it was saying that you had to donate. You do not have to donate to sign that petition. And none of that money is going to Kendra. Then none of that money is going to the Bradleys. That money
Nope.
goes to change.org. So if you want to donate to change.org, by all means, do you, boo. But I'm just saying, you don't have to. You can literally just sign and move along. And thank you, Kendra, for all that you have done as well. So
Yes.
she's amazing.
There's a lot of angels out there. A lot of angels.
Praise
Amy's
God for
angels
that.
out there. Yes.
Praise God for that.
Amy
Okay.
has one heck of an army.
She does. I can't wait for her to meet everyone because I think that is what is going to be like the best thing ever for her to see that. I know I don't have a shadow of a doubt that Amy knows that her mom and her dad and Brad are doing absolutely and everything they can to get to her and that they would never give up just because we know them. Can I tell y'all a story real quick? Do y'all care? I know I just said I had to leave, but I want to tell you something.
No, please tell us.
Yep. So when I went out on Saturday, Brad came to celebrate my birthday and we were all talking and I'm looking around at this table and it's everybody that I grew up with. It's all of us that went to school, that went to middle school. And some of the people at that table even went to like elementary school, but I'm like, it's this whole group of us and we all grew up together. And I'm like, there was a moment that I thought, there's nobody at this table that would ever think anything other than what us here on this, think of the Bradleys. And that is they love Amy. Then they'll do everything and anything they possibly can to get her home and they'll never give up. And I just thought it's the people on the internet that don't have this. Like they're not here.
Right.
They haven't grown up with the Bradleys. They don't hang out with the Bradleys. They don't have friends that are, mutual friends. Like there was nobody that was out with us on Saturday that would not have said the exact same thing that I get on here and say. And I'm like, that's the part that, social media does help because we're able to get on. It's hearing Brad and Iva and Ron say it is great, but I think hearing it from other people as well that know them and can speak for them and speak on their behalf is very important as well. So that May 30th event, there will be a lot of people there that will get to speak up and speak for the Bradleys because just like the people that were there on Saturday, they've grown up they've grown up with the Bradleys. They know Ron, they know Iva, they know Brad, they know Amy. And I think the May 30th event will really give the Bradleys an opportunity to be surrounded finally by people that love them and care about them and know, how they feel about Amy and want to support that family. So I'm really excited about that event. But I did think about that on Saturday. I'm like, it's hard. Social media is a good thing to come on here and use. And, Nana, I know you want more information that we can't provide, but it's a smaller group here. Y'all, it's a lot more people that are watching online that can help us to spread the word and keep Amy's name out there. And, that's why we appreciate it.
And sharing Midnight Mysteries archive, that helps get the word out there. And it helps with some of the naysayers or some of the ones who have those questions and I don't want to, or have these bold statements to say this, and this. Give them a listen to Midnight Mystery Archive.
That's right.
They need to listen to that.
You said get the word out, which I agree with, and I would say get the truth out.
Absolutely.
It's not just
you're
words.
right.
It's get the truth out. So that's what I would say.
Yes.
All right, friends. Well, I thank y'all so much. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 7:30 for Amy's birthday, and yep.
Thank
I think
you.
that's it. Thanks so much.
All right.
Make sure
Happy
you
Love you
Mother's
guys.
Day.
Bye.
listen to Witness Wednesday tomorrow and check out
Yep.
episode 7 on Friday.
Yep.
All right. See you guys.
Good night.
Bye.